Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report here on fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. My name is Willie Lawson. I trust that you are well this glorious St. Patrick's Day. It is St. Patrick's Day already. You know, we're more than a year into 15 days to flatten the curve, 15 days to flatten the curve, 15 days to flatten the curve. We are more than a year into it now. And have we flattened the curve? Is that a question that we can answer now, or is it even polite to ask? Did we flatten the curve? And if we did flatten the curve, then what are we doing now? you know, and again, I know when you have something like this where we've had people succumb to this disease, to this virus. It's never really a good time to poke fun because people have experienced real loss. I understand. But the questions are going to have to be asked, and they're going to have to be answered. We are more than a year into 15 days flatten the curve. Dr. Fauci. Flatten the curve, Fauci. No reason for Americans to be walking around in masks at this point, which was at the beginning of the thing. So doesn't it seem to you, doesn't it seem to you that if we were going to flatten the curve, make sure hospitals weren't overwhelmed, make sure the healthcare system wasn't overwhelmed, it was probably a good idea to mask up early, right? That was probably the best idea. If we were worried about transmission, and now they tell us that transmission, wearing a mask, slows or stops transmission, shouldn't we have done that in the beginning? Shouldn't that have been something that we were doing early? However, whether we were wearing the N95 or we were wearing, dust covers, bandanas, something, anything, shouldn't have that been something we did early? Wouldn't that have slowed the transmission rate? Wouldn't that have, okay, well, maybe. This is why you have these people like myself and Paul Swanson and others who are just asking a damn question. What the hell? And I think the answer that we've gotten is that some of these people from the CDC and the HI and the National Health Institute of Health don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just making it up as they go, which is why I always say they're just practicing medicine. They don't know. We don't have any earthly idea. And in the meantime, over 500,000 Americans have succumbed. Some have succumbed with coronavirus. Some have succumbed from it. Some of the experts, scientists, doctors, whatever, have said that of the 539,000 people who have succumbed either from or with coronavirus, that there's only 6% of them that have succumbed from coronavirus. Now, that doesn't make it any easier, frankly. When you have 539,000, let's see, 0.6, we have 32,000 Americans that have died from coronavirus. It doesn't make anything any easier. It doesn't make anything any better. That's still bad. I want to make sure that you know that that's still terrible. But it's a lot different than 539,000. It is different. It's overall impact is very different. I think the answer to any of these questions is that we are woefully unprepared in the expert category. Fauci, Birx, and others. That we're woefully unprepared. That's what we found out. All right, listen, we're going to get back to the Moon Report in just a little bit. We got some things to cover. We got some mask madness, stupidity, ridiculousness to cover. There was a shooting in Atlanta of some spas and massage parlors by this person. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about whatever else pops up. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. Thank you ever so much for dropping by today. Hopefully this is going to be a video, not a very exciting video, but also back on YouTube. Thank you ever so much. We appreciate you. Share with your friends, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you ever so much. We'll be back right after these messages. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of FightBackMedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
Thank you ever so much. We appreciate it. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. Go to the FightBackMedia.com, FightBackMedia.com website, and check out, embedded in the website, I liked it so much, is a Swanson Report. The SwansonReport.net, the SwansonReport.net. Paul's a tremendous journalist and a fantastic writer and has a brilliant mind and can hone in on the thing that's most important in any story, in any article. Tremendous analysis. So you want to check out the SwansonReport.net, SwansonReport.net. And you want to subscribe to his YouTube channel, Paul Swanson. That's Swanson with an E, SWANSEN, because SEN apparently is Swedish, and Paul's a Swedish guy, I know. So there you are. All right, let's get down to it today. This first article just caught my attention because of its pure, incredible, outrageous, ridiculous, moronic stupidity. This is from our friends at Town Hall from yesterday. In the latest case of masking madness, Spirit Airlines removed listen to this, a 4-year-old, nonverbal, autistic boy from a flight Monday for not wearing a mask. With airline personnel allegedly, I don't know if this is true, but allegedly telling parents autism's not a disability. Well, except when it is. Speaking to CBS Little Rock affiliate KTVH-TV, Callie Kimball, the mother of 4-year-old Carter, said her husband and son were forced to disembark from their Monday return flight from Las Vegas to Little Rock, despite a note explaining their son's condition. And wait till you hear the condition. And have earlier flown out of Little Rock on Spirit with no problem. They were on Spirit to get to Vegas from Little Rock. They'd already been on a flight. That's how they got there. So they had a letter from the little boy's physician saying that he's exempt from wearing a mask. And this is why, because when he wears a mask, he holds his breath or he starts freaking out and he will harm himself. He's 4 years old. He's autistic. Now, part of what I've learned because of my second job is that kids on the spectrum, they have a real difficult problem with what happens next. I'll say it that way. So they know how they feel now, but they have a problem with what happens next. They don't have a real sense of, oh, well, this is now and it's going to be okay. I can still breathe. So I know at one particular theme park, if it's obvious that a child is on the spectrum, we just don't worry about it, especially if they're young. We just don't worry about it. So after boarding the plane, the father reportedly explained to the airline staff that his son has a disability, and that is protected under the American Disability Act. Spirit Airlines personnel allegedly replied, no, autism's not a disability. He has to wear a mask or he has to get off the plane. Now, he's 4. What have we learned in a year? We've learned that the most vulnerable population are not 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds are not likely to be spreaders of the virus. That's what we've learned in a year. So to walk around and behave like we haven't learned anything in a year is just stupid. The family was forced off the plane and he had to pay out of pocket for an American Airlines flight back to Little Rock. American accepted Carter's medical exception note without pause. American Airlines said, oh, okay, well, let's go. As of February 2021, it became required by law for passengers on U.S. airplanes, trains, buses, taxis, ride-sharing services to wear a mask while traveling. While U.S. airlines, including Spirit, have already instituted such mask policies, the federal government's new requirement made clear medical exceptions could be given. So the TSA detailed the possible exemptions on its website, writing, "This is a narrow exception that includes a person with a disability who cannot wear a mask for reasons related to the disability, who, among other things, cannot communicate promptly to ask someone else to remove their mask due to a speech impairment or language disorder." Now, that's on the TSA website. Now, I'm not sure which Spirit airline dingus is too stupid or too lazy or too freaked out or too whatever to make sure they have all the right information. I'm not sure. However, Spirit Airlines or the people who were on that aircraft apparently disagreed with even this narrow exception. Now, the kid is 4 and he's nonverbal. He can't tell them. So in its response to inquiries regarding the incident, the airline, known for its cheap prices, said, like most airlines, Spirit has stated regarding face coverings in May 2020, with only one exception being children under 2. Our existing policy does not provide for medical exemptions regardless of diagnosis, which is not the federal guidelines, and is breaking the law and the real law. These mask mandates aren't law. This is what we have to understand. These mask mandates are not law. They're not. The American Disability Act, however, is law. It is law. So these mask mandates that fly in the face of the American Disabilities Act are actually illegal. What? Yes. Yes. Now, doesn't it stop you from wearing a mask on an airplane? Which is kind of silly. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, that the HEPA filters on these aircrafts sometimes provide better air quality than in operating rooms. So this whole idea that they're necessary, masks are necessary on airplanes. Now, the thing is that, I have some friends, some former students who fly a lot, who play a lot, who are working musicians, and they all mask up on airplanes because airplane air can get stuffy or whatever. So they all mask up on airplanes because it's important that, forget the Rona, it's important that they don't get a cold from this person sitting next to them, or the flu, or because they need their lungs and they need to be able to breathe, obviously. So it's important that they don't get colds. A cold. Forget Rona. A cold. They don't want to get a sinus infection or anything like that either. So they mask up on airplanes. But with the HEPA filters that are on airplanes right now, and have been for some time, probably not necessary. Whenever I've flown, like on a flight that isn't packed, I will find a place away from other people. So I'll sit way in the back in the corner somewhere, up against the window, and stay there and not move around the aircraft. I find that that my level of health comfort is best when I do that. So if you want to mask up on an airplane, fine, do that. But this is a 4-year-old autistic, nonverbal autistic little boy. Are you serious? Clearly, a nonverbal autistic child should check all the necessary boxes for a mask exemption. And in fact, contrary to Spirit's claim, other airlines such as American, Delta, United have policies in place to accommodate those who cannot wear a mask for medical reasons. Going forward, Spirit Airlines has decided to amend its zero exemption policy, expressing in its statement starting March 19th, that's 2 days from now, guests with medical disabilities who are traveling on or after March 22nd can apply for an exemption as provided for in the federal mandate requiring masks in airports and on planes. For the family, however, a retroactive change in the airline's poorly contemplated policy does nothing to heal the emotional harm and financial harm. Mrs. Kimball expressed that the incident was especially traumatizing for her son, saying, "Kids on the spectrum, they're usually very obsessed with something. He's obsessed with airplanes. He was sitting in his seat being quiet, looking out of the window, and this lady was like, 'Get off.'" Tearing up, the mother lamented, "I've never in my life like being a parent of an autistic kid is really hard, and I've never in my life experienced that kind of discrimination from someone. In its statement, Spirit Airlines expressed sympathy for the family facing additional burdens while traveling. You know, and I'll tell you, where I work, when I see children and parents on the spectrum, my thought is always this. This is hard enough as it is. This is hard enough as it is. If indeed they can't, if they truly can't, I'm not going to add to that. I'm just not going to add to their burden. I'm just not going to. And the company that I work for has a similar thought. Now, what I've also found is that there are kids on the spectrum. There are people on the spectrum that can, and a lot of them do. Now, if you're a perfectly normal 35-year-old and you really just don't want to wear a mask because it's uncomfortable in a theme park, do me a favor. Do a lot of the people who work at the theme park a favor. Stay home. If they require it and you just don't want to do it, just don't do it. Just don't go. There isn't any reason to be a pain in the ass to somebody who is a part-timer there, taking temperatures or tickets or whatever. No reason to die on that mountain. Just stay home. You can't go until you decide that you can wear a mask to get in. Take advantage of the relax. Most theme parks have relaxation zones. I know the one I work for does, where you can just chill. Sit under a tree in a specific area, and just chill for a bit, cool off, get some mask downtime before continuing your day. And I'll suggest to parents who have little kids to do just that. Please take advantage of the relaxation zones for your kids. Please do that. 6 hours, 7 hours in the theme park outside in Florida with a mask on is brutal. I'm just going to tell you, it's friggin' brutal. So we try to make the experiences as non-brutal as possible. But this airline, this Spirit Airlines, and I'm just thinking that this particular crew, horrendous, because I'm going to tell you, the crews have a lot of latitude because especially the captain, because they're in charge of the aircraft. They have a lot of latitude. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of the passengers who saw this is an autistic 4-year-old, we're just not going to make it a big deal. We're just not going to make it a big deal. Just not. We're going to fly back. This kid ain't going to be up walking around. It's not going to be up walking around, playing with people, touching things. It's going to be sitting in his seat most of the time. Everybody's going to be fine. Stupid. Just stupid. Shame on Spirit Airlines. Oh, now they're changing it. Oops, because somebody went to the TSA website and went, oops. Yes, Spirit Airlines, in a lot of ways, you suck. This is my non-endorsement. This is a Fight Back Media's non-endorsement of Spirit Airlines. I hated you before because it's like riding a Greyhound bus. I hated you before. Now I despise you. We'll be back right after these messages. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com. a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of FightbackMedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
Okay, we're back. We are back. Thank you ever so much. Thanks for spending some time with us today. And if you were in the Tampa Bay area, and it's flower time, www.bloomingdays.com. Check her out, 813-933-1492. Check it out. Check her out. Call her up. Say that Willie said call you because fresh flowers is where it's at. And buying local flowers is where it's friggin' at. I'm telling you, that's what it's all about. It is the perfect example of how some of these large corporations that don't provide anything have crushed local businesses. If you're worried about Walmart and you're worried about Target and you're worried about Amazon, then you should never, ever, ever use 1-800-Flowers or www Flowers or whatever that is. You should never do that. Because those companies not only crush the small businesses, the small floral shops. I want to stay here for just a second. They actually use them until they die, pretty much. Because 1-800-Flowers doesn't send you anything. They contact one of your local florists, taking more than half of the money that you pay, and you think you're getting something special in an arrangement that the local shop cannot afford to produce for the money they get. If they try to produce it, they die. And if they don't produce it, if they give you something less than what you think, then you're pissed. And a lot of times, when you call 1-800-Flower people to say that you're not happy with it, they pull the money. I mean, if they refund the money, they refund all of the money, and the shop loses out. Don't use them. This is my non-endorsement day. Don't use 1-800-Flowers or www Flowers or whatever that. Don't use them. Don't be a lazy butt. Flower shops near me. in DuckDuckGo or Google and use somebody local. Use somebody that you can go and look them in the face, look them in the eye, and say, this is what I need for my bar mitzvah. This is what I need for my bar mitzvah. This is what I need for my quinceañera. This is what I need for my wedding. This is what we need for our centerpieces. This is what we need for blah, 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 whatever. Do that. You want to stimulate your local economy? Start by doing stuff like that. Do that. All right. Okie dokie. There's some shootings last night, I think, in Atlanta. Last night, yeah, I'm thinking. Tuesday night, yeah, last night in Atlanta. This article is from my local newspaper here in Tampa. The Tampa Bay Times, also known as Pravda. Shootings at 2 massage parlors in Atlanta and one in the suburbs left 8 people dead, many of them women of Asian descent, authorities said Tuesday. A 21-year-old piece of crap was taken into custody in southwest Georgia hours later after a manhunt. Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant said 3 people were killed at a spa in northeast Atlanta, while a 4th person was killed at another spa across the street. He said all 4 victims were female, and it appears that they may be Asian. If it were a nail shop, well, they were probably Asian. Atlanta police officers responded to the call of a robbery in progress at one spa around 5:50 p.m. Found 3 women dead from apparent gunshot wounds, police said. While they were at the scene, they learned of a call reporting shots fired at another spa across the street and found a woman who appeared to have been shot dead inside the business. Earlier, around 5 o'clock, 5 people were shot at Young's Asian massage parlor in Ackworth, about 30 miles north of Atlanta. Cherokee County Sheriff's Office spokesman Captain Jay Baker said 2 of the victims were dead and 3 were transported to hospital, where 2 of them also died, Baker said. Authorities were not immediately releasing the gender or race of the victims. A man suspected in the Ackworth shooting was captured by surveillance pulling up to the business around 4:50 p.m. on Tuesday, minutes before the shootings. Authorities said Baker and the subject, Robert Aaron, I won't mention his last name, of Woodstock, was taken into custody in Crisp County, about 150 miles south of Atlanta. He was running. Baker said they believe Long is also the suspect in the Atlanta shootings, with 2 shootings at massage parlors in Atlanta and the knowledge of the Ackworth shooting. Atlanta police said that they dispatched officers to check nearby similar businesses and increase patrols in the area. And that's what we know now. There's a picture of him. He looks retarded as hell. He just looks retarded. He looks stupid. If he's found guilty, put him down. That's all there is to it. If he's found guilty, put his ass down. All right. Florida Republicans are a bill passed committee targeting big tech. A Florida House panel has advanced legislation backed by the governor that would punish companies should they violate the privacy of Floridians and interfere with citizens' access to candidates during an election. So, here's the deal. So during an election, Facebook can't ban you or shadow ban you, or you can't be doxxed because you want to have access to a candidate. You want to tell that candidate how you feel or what you think about this or that. This is one of the many pushbacks. One of the many pushbacks that is coming in this arena because of Facebook, especially Twitter's behavior in the 2020 election. This is one of the things that are going to happen, and it's crazy because I think that Zuck and these other people believe that they are completely untouchable. There was a Project Veritas video from one of the whistleblowers from Facebook, and he was saying that basically these people think that they're their own country, that the rest of the world and the rest of the world's norms don't really apply to them. They're above it all. They're simply above it all. And I think there are going to be some states, some governors, some legislatures who are going to say, oh, guess what? No, you're not. No, you're not. Twitter is not the real world. Twitter is just Twitter. It is not the real world. There's going to be pushback. If we're looking for a civil war, this civil war is going to take place in a way that nobody really is really looking at. It's going to take a war. It's going to take place on this front. It's going to take place on the cultural front. There will be pushback, and there will be turbulence. That's all there is to it. So we'll see, and we'll continue to follow how this bill goes in Florida. Does it actually get to the desk of the governor? And if it does, he's going to sign it. That's all there is to it. That's just how it's going to be, right? There you go. Alrighty. Yeah, one more thing. Yeah, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow dude, says that he is going to start a new app that will be a, quote, safe place for those canceled by YouTube and Twitter. That's another part of the pushback. Mike Lindell has the money and can gather the resources to start a new app. So he says the social media platform will launch in the coming weeks. Now, it's going to draw a lot of conservatives early. Its challenge will be this. How good will it be? How easy will it be to use? And will it be able to sustain itself? That's what the questions are. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of Trump-like excitement for it early. But can it sustain itself? And will you guys understand this? That you can be on MeWe and Facebook. You can be on Twitter and Parler. That you can be on Facebook and freedomforum.website. That you don't have to leave one to use the other. And that's been a very difficult thing for any new or different social media platform. And all I guess we can do here at Fightback Media is tell you so. That you can be on Rumble and YouTube, because we're on YouTube now. This show's going to update to YouTube. That you can do both. You don't have to do one or the other. Because people go, well, all my friends are on Facebook. All your friends are on Facebook because you're on Facebook. So when you move to freedomforum.website and tell your friends that I've got an account there too, you can probably get some of them to do that too, right? If you're going to behave the very same way, probably go ahead and do that. All my friends are on Twitter. Then all your friends are on Twitter because you're on Twitter. What if you move to Parler, and then some of your friends come to Parler too? And then you'll behave just like you behaved before. You understand what I'm saying, right? Y'all get what I'm saying. Anyway, so let's look for the My Pillow. I don't know what it's going to be called. Doesn't say. Who knows? To see how that works out. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. And so until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.
We appreciate the time you took today to listen to the broadcast. Please check the links below on how to further interact with the FightbackMedia.com network. Please remember to like and share this broadcast with your like-minded friends and family. Also, we'd appreciate your subscription to the broadcast, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload new content.